I'm going to ask you 100 questions in English, but there is one rule. You are not allowed to build your answer in your first language and then translate it. When you hear each question, respond immediately with the English you already have. Your answer does not need to be perfect. It needs to come out. Some questions will feel easy, others will force your brain to search, connect ideas, explain opinions, remember experiences, and keep speaking when the perfect word does not appear. Stay with me until question 100, because the questions will gradually become more demanding. By the end, you will know something very important about your English that studying grammar alone can never show you. Chapter 1. Switch your brain into English. Before we make your answers longer, faster, or more advanced, we need to establish one basic habit: hear English and respond in English. That sounds obvious, but many learners do something very different. They hear a question, they understand it, then their mind becomes quiet for a second. A sentence appears in their native language. They translate that sentence, they check the grammar, they search for vocabulary, they speak. That process may work in a classroom when you have plenty of time. It becomes a problem in real conversation because conversation does not wait. So during this first set of questions, your job is not to impress me. Your job is to respond quickly. Use short answers if necessary, but make them real sentences. When I ask a question, give yourself about 3 seconds to begin. Do not stop because you are uncertain about one word. Say what you can say. Question 1. What time did you wake up today? Answer now. Do not search for an interesting answer. Just tell me what happened. You might say, I woke up at 7, or I woke up around 8:30 because I went to bed late. Good. Notice what we are doing. You are connecting the question directly to a memory, and then connecting that memory directly to English. Question 2. What was the first thing you did after you woke up? Speak. Maybe. The first thing I did was check my phone. Or, I got out of bed, washed my face, and drank some water. You do not need sophisticated vocabulary. Simple English spoken immediately is more useful for this exercise than advanced English produced after 20 seconds of translation. Question 3. What did you have for breakfast today? Answer immediately. If you did not eat breakfast, say that. I didn't have breakfast today. I only had coffee. That is still a complete answer. Question 4. Where are you right now? Describe your location using 1 or 2 sentences. I'm sitting in my bedroom. I'm at my desk near the window. I'm watching this at home. Now add one detail. The room is quiet. There are some books beside me. My laptop is in front of me. Excellent. Question 5. What can you see directly in front of you? Do not translate the entire scene. Choose 3 things. I can see my computer, a cup, and a notebook. This type of question trains direct association. You see an object and retrieve its English name. That is exactly the kind of connection we want to strengthen. Question 6. What is the weather like today? Answer naturally. It's sunny and quite warm. It's cloudy today. It has been raining since this morning. Now add your reaction. I like this weather because it feels peaceful. Or, I don't enjoy very hot weather. Question 7. What clothes are you wearing right now? Speak without preparing. I'm wearing a black shirt and jeans. Or, I'm wearing comfortable clothes because I'm staying home today. Easy question? Good. Easy questions are useful because they allow your brain to practice speed without being distracted by difficult ideas. Question 8. What is one thing you need to do today? Answer. I need to finish some work. I need to buy groceries. I need to call someone. Now add when. I'll probably do it this afternoon. Question 9. What is something you have already done today? Use one complete sentence. I've already answered several emails. I've already cleaned my room. I've already gone for a walk. Do not worry if the grammar is not exactly the way you wanted it. Keep the response moving. Question 10. How are you feeling right now and why? Do not answer only, I'm fine. Give me a real answer. I'm feeling a little tired because I didn't sleep enough. I feel relaxed because I don't have much work today. I'm feeling motivated because I want to improve my English. That is the first 10. Now notice something. None of those questions required unusual vocabulary. Yet, if you normally translate before speaking, even simple questions can create hesitation. Automatic English does not begin with complicated debates. It begins with ordinary information becoming easy to access in English. Tomorrow, somebody may ask, "What did you do today? What are you working on? Where are you going? How are you feeling?" If your brain has practiced answering questions like these directly, conversation becomes lighter. So before we continue, repeat this sentence aloud. I do not need the perfect answer. I need an English answer. Again, I do not need the perfect answer. I need an English answer. Good. Now we make the workout more interesting. Chapter 2. Turn short answers into real speaking. A common problem appears when learners finally become comfortable answering questions. They answer too little. What do you do on weekends? Relax. What food do you like? Pizza. Where do you want to travel? Japan. Technically, these answers may communicate something, but they do not train you to hold a conversation. Speaking fluently means learning how to extend an idea. So for the next 10 questions, use a simple rule. Answer the question, then add one reason, detail, example, or explanation. You are training your mouth to continue after the first sentence. Question 11. What do you usually do on weekends? Do not stop after one activity. Try. On weekends, I usually stay home and rest. I also spend some time with my family because weekdays are often busy. Your answer can be completely different. Start now. Question 12. What kind of food do you enjoy most? Answer, then explain why. I really enjoy spicy food because I like strong flavors. Perhaps you enjoy simple food. Maybe traditional food. Maybe you like cooking at home more than eating outside. The content does not matter. Continuing matters. Question 13. What is your favorite part of the day? Morning, afternoon, evening, night? Explain. My favorite part of the day is early morning because everything feels quieter and I can think clearly. Speak for at least 15 seconds. Question 14. What is one place in your city that you like? Do not only name it. Tell me what happens there. There's a park near my home that I really like. It has a long walking path and I sometimes go there in the evening. That second sentence is important. It keeps the conversation alive. Question 15. What kind of videos do you usually watch online? Answer naturally. Maybe educational videos, movies, interviews, sports, cooking, technology, history. Tell me why you watch them. Try to speak for 20 seconds. Question 16. Do you prefer staying at home or going out? There is no correct answer. Choose one. Then defend your choice. I usually prefer staying at home because I can relax and do things at my own pace. However, I still enjoy going out when I'm with the right people. Notice the word however. You can add contrast. That gives your answer more depth. Question 17. What is one small thing that makes your day better? Maybe coffee, a phone call, quiet time, exercise, good weather, finishing your work, music, a clean room, a good conversation. Explain why it matters to you. Question 18. What is something you enjoy doing alone? Speak. I enjoy walking alone because it gives me time to think. Then add another detail. I usually leave my phone in my pocket and simply pay attention to what is around me. You are building an answer instead of producing a sentence. Question 19. What is one thing you would like to improve about your daily routine? Do not overthink. Maybe sleeping earlier, using your phone less, exercising, reading, planning, practicing English. Explain what change you want. I want to start going to bed earlier. I often stay awake longer than necessary, so I want to create a better evening routine. Question 20. What is something you are looking forward to? It can be something happening tomorrow, next month, or much later. Answer. Then explain why you are excited about it. Excellent. You have now answered 20 questions, but something has changed. The first 10 trained response speed. These 10 trained contingents. That distinction matters. A fluent speaker does not necessarily know dramatically more words than you. Often, fluent speakers simply know how to keep using the words they already have. Consider this question. What did you do yesterday? A learner might say, I worked, finished. A stronger speaker might say, I worked most of the day. It was quite busy because I had several things to finish. In the evening, I stopped working and watched a movie. The vocabulary is still simple. The grammar is not extraordinary, but the answer feels complete. That is a skill. You can train it deliberately. From this point forward, whenever you answer a question, imagine there is a small invisible door after your first sentence. Open it. Add something else. One reason, one example, one contrast, one consequence, one memory, one opinion. You do not always need 5 sentences, but train yourself not to escape the conversation after 3 words. Now we move from daily facts to personal preferences. These questions will require faster decision-making. Chapter 3. Speak about preference without preparing. Talking about preferences seems easy until somebody asks you to explain them. Do you prefer books or movies? You choose movies. Then the other person asks, why? Suddenly your mind starts searching. For these 10 questions, you must choose. Do not say, it depends, immediately. You may explain exceptions later, but begin by making a clear choice. That forces your brain to organize an opinion in real time. Question 21. Would you rather live in a big city or a small town? Choose. Now give me 2 reasons. For example, I would rather live in a small town because I like quiet places and slower routines. I also think I would enjoy being closer to nature. Your answer does not need to match mine. Question 22. Would you rather work early in the morning or late at night? Answer immediately. What makes that time better for you? When is your mind most active? Question 23. Do you prefer planning everything or being spontaneous? Choose one side first, then explain. I prefer planning because I feel calmer when I know what I'm going to do. You could then add, but I don't plan every small detail. That creates nuance. Question 24. Would you rather spend money on experiences or physical things? Trips, meals, classes, technology, clothes, furniture, something else? Explain your choice. Question 25. Do you prefer learning from a teacher or learning by yourself? Give your real opinion. If you prefer a combination, begin with the one you rely on more, then explain the advantage. Question 26. Would you rather have a very busy day or a very quiet day? Do not answer with one adjective. Describe what your ideal version of that day would look like. If you prefer a busy day, I like busy days when I have useful things to do. I feel satisfied when I finish several tasks. If you prefer quiet, I prefer quiet days because they give me time to think, read, and recover. Question 27. Would you rather cook your own food or order from a restaurant? Why? Add one situation where you might choose the opposite. This is useful because real conversations often move from preference to exception. I usually prefer cooking at home because it's cheaper and I can choose exactly what I want. But when I'm very busy, ordering food is much easier. Question 28. Would you rather communicate by text message or phone call? What makes one easier? When would you choose the other? Keep speaking. Question 29. Do you prefer learning many things at once or focusing deeply on one skill? Explain what normally happens when you try your preferred method. Question 30. Would you rather become excellent at one thing or reasonably good at 10 different things? Think quickly, choose, explain. Now stop for a moment and think about the last 10 questions. You probably had to make several choices while speaking. That is useful because real conversation is unpredictable. Nobody gives you the questions 20 minutes before speaking to you. A person says, "What do you think? Which one do you prefer?" Would you ever do that? Why? And you must create the response as the conversation happens. There is another reason preference questions are valuable. They teach you reusable language. Listen to these phrases. I prefer, I'd rather. The main reason is, for me, I tend to. One advantage is, the downside is. It depends on the situation, but generally, I usually choose. If I had to choose, I'd probably. Do not memorize them as isolated grammar. Use them as speaking tools. Take question 30 again. Would you rather become excellent at one thing or reasonably good at 10 things? Now answer it again, but begin with, if I had to choose, I'd probably speak. Your second answer may be better than your first one. not because you suddenly learned more English. You simply had an entry point. That is one of the secrets of automatic speaking. Your brain benefits from familiar language patterns. Instead of constructing every sentence from zero, you begin using chunks. I think the main reason is, what I like about it is, one thing I've noticed is, in my experience, the problem is, that's why. These chunks reduce mental pressure. You can focus more on your idea and less on building every individual word. 30 questions finished. Now we increase the pressure again. You are going to talk about your past, and this time you will need to turn memories into English without preparing a written story first. Chapter 4. Turn memories into English. When you talk about the past, your brain has to do several things together. You remember what happened, you choose which details matter, you put events in order, you choose past tense language, and you keep speaking. That makes storytelling an excellent fluency workout. You do not need dramatic stories. Ordinary memories are enough. For each question in this chapter, give yourself 30 to 45 seconds. Use this simple sequence when you need help. First, where or when did it happen? Second, what happened? Third, how did you react? Question 31. What did you do last weekend? Do not give me a list only. Choose one part of your weekend and explain it. Maybe, last Saturday I stayed home for most of the morning because I had some work to finish. Later, I went out with a friend and we had dinner together. Continue if you can. Question 32. What was the last movie, series, or video you watched? Tell me what it was about without giving every detail. Then tell me whether you liked it. Question 33. When was the last time you learned something completely new? What were you learning? Why? Was it easy or difficult? Keep your answer moving. Question 34. Tell me about a meal you remember enjoying. Where were you? Who was with you? What did you eat? Why do you still remember it? Question 35. What was one good thing that happened to you this week? It can be extremely small. Maybe you finished something. Someone helped you. You received good news. You slept well. You had an interesting conversation. Do not dismiss ordinary experiences. Speak about one. Question 36. Tell me about a time when you were late. Where were you going? Why were you late? What happened afterward? If you cannot remember a specific event, create a simple, realistic example, but try to use a real memory first. Question 37. What was something you were afraid to do but eventually did? Maybe speaking in front of people, traveling alone, taking an exam, starting a new job, calling someone, trying a difficult skill. Explain what happened before and after. Question 38. Tell me about a mistake that taught you something useful. You do not need to reveal anything deeply personal. Choose a practical mistake. Maybe you forgot an appointment, waited too long, bought the wrong thing, trusted bad information, did not prepare properly. What did you learn? Question 39. What is one childhood memory that still makes you smile? Describe the place. Describe what happened. Add one sensory detail if possible. Was it loud, warm, rainy, crowded, quiet? What could you see? This teaches you descriptive storytelling. Question 40. Tell me about the last time somebody surprised you. What were you expecting? What actually happened? How did you react? Excellent. 40 questions. If this chapter felt harder, that is normal. Storytelling exposes an important difference between knowing grammar and using grammar. You may understand the past tense perfectly when you see it in a textbook, but telling a story requires you to retrieve it while also remembering what happened. That is why speaking practice must contain real-time retrieval. There is something else I want you to notice. You do not need perfect chronological precision to tell a good story. You need useful connectors. Try these. Last week, at first, then, after that, a few minutes later, eventually, in the end, the strange thing was, what happened next was, that was when. These expressions give your story a road. Without them, you may know all the vocabulary but feel lost. Take question 36 again. Tell me about a time when you were late. This time begin. A few months ago, I was supposed to, then continue. Notice how much easier it becomes once the first part is already moving. You are not learning how to translate faster. You are teaching English to become one of the languages your brain can use directly for remembering and describing experience. Now we turn toward the future. Chapter 5. Think forward in English. Talking about the future sounds simple because learners often know forms like will, going to, and want to. But future conversation involves something deeper. You must imagine something that has not happened yet and construct it while speaking. Plans, predictions, goals, possibilities, decisions. This is excellent training for flexible thinking in English. Question 41. What are you going to do after finishing this video? Answer immediately. Be specific. I'm going to make some tea and then return to work. Or, I'm going to practice these questions again. Question 42. What is one thing you want to accomplish this month? Explain what it is and why it matters. Then tell me one action you can take. Question 43. Where would you like to travel in the future? Choose one place. Why that place? What would you like to do there? Try to speak for at least 30 seconds. Question 44. What skill would you like to become very good at? Do not choose English automatically unless that is genuinely your answer. It could be writing, cooking, programming, public speaking, driving, photography, business, a sport. Explain what attracts you to that skill. Question 45. What would you do if you had an entire week with no work or responsibilities? Do not answer with, I would relax. Tell me how. Where would you go? Who would you spend time with? What would you avoid doing? Question 46. What is something you hope will be different about your life 1 year from now? Keep it practical. Maybe you want a different routine, a stronger skill, more savings, a completed project, better time management, more confidence. Explain what would need to change. Question 47. If you could study one subject for 6 months without worrying about money, what would you choose? Why? What would you want to understand by the end? Question 48. What is one habit you want to build during the next 30 days? Explain exactly when you would do it. For example, I want to read for 20 minutes every evening before bed. Specific English is powerful because specific thoughts force specific language. Question 49. What do you think your life might look like 5 years from now? Do not try to predict everything. Choose 3 areas: work, home, skills, family, travel, health, lifestyle, learning. Describe possibilities rather than certainties. Question 50. If your English became completely comfortable and automatic, what would you use it for? This question deserves more than 10 seconds. Would you travel differently, speak to different people, study something, work internationally, make content, read books, attend meetings, teach, build a business, watch films without subtitles? Explain the practical difference strong English would make in your life. That is 50 questions, halfway. Now I want you to notice whether your answers are beginning faster than they did at question 1. They do not have to be grammatically perfect. That is not today's measurement. Our measurement is access. How quickly can you access the English you already know? Imagine 2 learners. Learner A knows 10,000 English words, but struggles to retrieve them during conversation. Learner B knows 6,000 words, but uses them quickly and flexibly. During a real conversation, Learner B may sound much more fluent. Vocabulary stored somewhere in your memory is not enough. It must become available. Questions create retrieval pressure. That is why this workout works differently from passive listening. You are not simply recognizing English, you are producing it. Now we begin the second half. The questions become less predictable. You will need to explain opinions, defend ideas, and react to situations. Do not slow down. Use the English you have. Chapter 6. Explain what you think. Opinion questions can make learners nervous because there is no fixed answer, but that is exactly why they are useful. You cannot memorize every opinion you will ever need. You must learn to construct your thinking while speaking. Use this simple pattern when needed. State your opinion. Give your main reason. Add an example or qualification. Question 51. Do you think people spend too much time on their phones? Answer yes, no, or somewhere in between. Then explain what you have noticed. Avoid trying to sound academic. Speak naturally. Question 52. Is it better to have a few close friends or many friends? Choose your position. Explain what matters most to you in friendship. Question 53. Do you think working from home is better than working in an office? You can discuss concentration, flexibility, communication, travel time, or social interaction. Pick the points that matter to you. Question 54. Should people always follow their passion when choosing a career? This one requires balance. Maybe passion matters. Maybe financial stability matters. Maybe both. Explain your position without searching for a perfect answer. Question 55. Do you think failure is necessary for success? Give a real explanation. Do not simply repeat a motivational sentence. Maybe failure teaches you what does not work. Maybe some lessons can be learned without failing personally. What do you think? Question 56. Is it better to save money or spend money enjoying life now? You may choose balance, but explain what balance means. A vague answer does not train precise speaking. Question 57. Do you think social media helps people connect, or does it make people feel more isolated? Choose the side you think is stronger. Then acknowledge the other side if you can. For example, I think social media can help people stay connected, especially when they live far apart. However, it can also create shallow communication if it replaces real conversations. Question 58. What is more important, natural talent or consistent practice? Explain why. Use an example from any skill: sports, music, languages, business, art. Question 59. Should students be allowed to use artificial intelligence while learning? Think carefully, but begin within a few seconds. What uses are helpful? What uses might stop learning? Where would you draw the line? Question 60. Do you think being busy means being productive? Explain the difference if you believe there is one. Excellent. 60 questions completed. Notice what opinion questions force you to do. You cannot simply report facts. You must organize relationships between ideas. Cause, effect, benefit, problem, exception, comparison. This develops an important layer of fluency. Many learners can say, I like this, but they struggle with, I like this because I used to think this, but now. The main advantage is, the biggest problem is. On the other hand, it depends on. From my experience, those connections make your English sound thoughtful and complete. Here is a mini challenge. Return mentally to question 60. Does being busy mean being productive? Now answer using this pattern. I don't think they're exactly the same because, continue. Then add, for example, continue, then finish. So for me, you have just created a structured opinion without writing anything first. That is the kind of skill we are building. Now we make the questions unpredictable. Real conversation often changes direction without warning. Somebody may ask about your habits and suddenly ask what you would do in a strange situation. Your brain needs flexibility. Chapter 7. Respond to unexpected situations. For the next 10 questions, do not spend too long deciding. There is no best answer. The objective is to react in English. Question 61. You arrive at a restaurant and realize you left your wallet at home. What would you do? Explain your first action. Would you call someone? Use another payment method? Speak to the staff? Go home? What would you say? Question 62. You are traveling in another country and your phone suddenly stops working. What would you do first? Think practically. How would you find directions? How would you contact someone? Question 63. A friend asks to borrow something valuable from you, but you do not feel comfortable lending it. What would you say? This trains polite refusal. Try to answer as if you were speaking directly to the friend. You might say, I'm sorry, but I'm not really comfortable lending that out. I hope you understand. Then explain what you might offer instead. Question 64. You order food at a restaurant, but they bring you the wrong dish. What would you say? Speak politely. Do not describe the grammar. Use the actual words. Excuse me, I think this might be the wrong order. I ordered. Continue. Question 65. You are in an important meeting and somebody asks you a question you cannot answer. What would you say? Do not pretend you know. Try. I'm not completely sure about that. Let me check and get back to you. Now create your own version. This is powerful conversational training because fluent speaking includes knowing what to say when you do not know. Question 66. You are talking to someone in English and you cannot remember an important word. What do you do? Do not say, I stop speaking. Explain a strategy. Could you describe the object? Use a simpler word, give an example, ask for help. Your response might be, I would try to explain the idea using other words instead of stopping the conversation. That is exactly the skill you should use while doing this workout. Question 67. Someone invites you to an event you do not want to attend. How would you decline politely? Say the actual response. Thanks for inviting me, but I won't be able to make it. You can add a reason if you want, but you do not always need a long explanation. Question 68. You are walking somewhere unfamiliar and realize you are lost. How would you ask a stranger for help? Speak directly to the imaginary stranger. Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to? Now finish the question with any destination. Question 69. You buy something online and it arrives damaged. What would you do? Explain the steps. Would you take a photo? Contact customer support? Request a replacement? Ask for a refund? Try to speak in sequence. Question 70. You have only 10 minutes to prepare for an English presentation. What would you focus on? Interesting question, because you are practicing English right now. Would you write every sentence? Probably not. Would you choose 3 main points? Practice your opening, prepare useful examples, explain your strategy. 70 questions. This chapter teaches something that many courses neglect. Fluency is not only saying what you plan to say, it is recovering when reality changes. You forget a word, someone misunderstands you. You receive an unexpected question, you need more time. You disagree politely, you need clarification. You need to correct yourself. These are not signs that your English has failed. These situations are part of normal communication. Native speakers also forget words. They change sentences halfway through. They say, let me put it another way. What I mean is, I'm not sure how to explain this, but give me a second. I can't remember the exact word. It's something you use for. That's not exactly what I meant. Those are fluency tools. Do not think fluency means speaking like a machine that never hesitates. Real fluency includes recovery. Now we will train description, because description teaches you to keep speaking even when you cannot rely on memorized phrases. Chapter 8. Describe without searching for perfect words. Imagine you do not know the English word for an object. You have 2 choices. Choice 1. Stop, apologize, switch languages, lose confidence. Choice 2. Describe it. Tell the listener what it looks like, what it does, where you use it, what it is similar to. Choice 2 keeps English alive. The next questions train descriptive flexibility. Question 71. Describe your bedroom or the room where you spend the most time. Do not list objects only. Describe the layout. What is near the door? What is beside the window? Where do you normally sit? What do you like or dislike about the room? Question 72. Describe your ideal home, apartment or house, city or countryside, large or small, modern or traditional. What rooms would it have? What would be outside? Keep going. Question 73. Describe someone you respect without saying their name. What qualities do they have? How do they treat people? What have you learnt from them? Do not focus only on physical appearance. Question 74. Describe a busy street in your city. Imagine the listener has never seen it. What can people hear? What kinds of vehicles are there? Are there shops, food stalls, offices, people walking? What time is it busiest? Question 75. Describe your favorite meal to somebody who has never eaten it. What ingredients are in it? What does it taste like? Is it spicy, sweet, salty, rich, light, soft, crispy? When do people normally eat it? Question 76. Describe a useful object that you use almost every day without saying its name first. This is a guessing game. For example, it's small enough to fit in my pocket. I use it to communicate with people, take photos, check maps, and read messages. Of course, that is a phone. Choose a different object, describe it, then say its name at the end. Question 77. Describe your perfect morning. What time would you wake up? What would you hear? What would you eat or drink? What would you do during the first hour? Question 78. Describe a place that feels peaceful to you. Maybe you have visited it. Maybe it is somewhere close to home. Maybe it is an imaginary place. What makes it peaceful? Question 79. Describe what a really stressful day looks like for you. Do not simply say, I have a lot of work. What happens first? What makes the pressure increase? How does your behavior change? Question 80. Describe the kind of person you enjoy having conversations with. Are they funny, curious, calm? Honest, good listeners, open-minded? What makes a conversation enjoyable for you? 80 questions. You are now moving far beyond basic question and answer practice. Description forces you to use English creatively. Suppose you forget the word umbrella. You can say, the thing you use when it rains. Suppose you forget stapler. You might say, the small tool you use to attach papers together. Suppose you forget the receipt. You might say, the paper a shop gives you after you pay. Is that perfect? It does not need to be. The listener can understand you, and communication continues. This is one of the biggest differences between learners who freeze and learners who continue. The person who freezes thinks, I need that exact word. The person who continues thinks, how else can I express this? That question is powerful. How else can I express this? Say it aloud. How else can I express this? Again, how else can I express this? Keep that question available whenever you speak English. You are not trapped by one missing word. There is almost always another road to the meaning. Now we enter the final 20 questions. These will require more reflection and longer answers. Do not run away from them. You have already warmed up your English brain with 80 responses. Use it. Chapter 9. Speak for 1 full minute. For questions 81 to 90, your target changes. Try to speak for approximately 1 minute per question. If you finish early, do not repeat yourself. Add another angle, a reason, a personal example, a contrast, a consequence, a future possibility. Your goal is sustained speaking. Question 81. What has learning English taught you about yourself? Do not talk only about grammar or vocabulary. Has it taught you patience, discipline, confidence, consistency, frustration, curiosity? What have you discovered about how you learn? Speak for 1 minute. Question 82. What is something people often worry about that you think deserves less attention? Maybe other people's opinions. Small mistakes, being perfect, comparing themselves, looking successful, choosing the perfect time to begin. Choose one idea and develop it. Question 83. What does a successful day mean to you? Be careful. I did not ask what a successful life means. I asked about one day. What would need to happen for you to go to bed thinking, that was a good day? Maybe you completed important work, spent time with family. I learnt something, exercised, rested properly, kept a promise to yourself. Explain. Question 84. What is something you believed 5 years ago that you no longer believe? It does not need to be controversial. Maybe your opinion about money changed. Work, friendships, productivity, learning, success, confidence, age, risk. Explain what changed your thinking. Question 85. What is one problem in your daily life that technology has made easier? Describe what people did before that technology. Then explain what is different now. Try to create a clear before and after comparison. Question 86. What quality do you think makes someone a good leader? Choose one main quality first. Listening, courage, clarity, responsibility, humility, consistency, decision-making. Explain why it matters and what happens when a leader does not have it. Question 87. What is something worth doing even if you are not naturally talented at it? Maybe exercise, cooking, communication, writing, managing money, public speaking, learning languages. Explain why improvement still matters. Question 88. When you feel unmotivated, What usually helps you begin working again? Talk about what actually works for you, not what sounds impressive. Maybe you make the task smaller. Put your phone away. Change location. Set a timer. Think about the deadline. Start with the easiest step. Take a short walk. Explain your process. Question 89. What do you think people misunderstand about confidence? Take your time. Is confidence always loud? Does confidence mean never feeling nervous? Can someone act despite uncertainty? Does preparation create confidence? Build your answer carefully. Question 90. What advice would you give someone who understands English but is afraid to speak it? Imagine that person is sitting in front of you. Speak directly to them. What would you tell them to stop doing? What should they start doing? What should they expect during the first few weeks? What would you want them to remember after making a mistake? That is 90. If you genuinely answered each question aloud, your English has already done a large amount of work. Think about what your brain has processed. Personal facts, daily routines, preferences, past memories, future plans, opinions, unexpected situations, descriptions, long explanations. This range matters because automatic speaking is not one isolated skill. You need to retrieve words in different contexts. A word that feels easy when you read it may feel difficult when you need it during a story. A grammar structure you recognize instantly may disappear when you are defending an opinion. A phrase you understand in a movie may not appear when you need to make a polite request. Production reveals these gaps, and that is useful. You should not be embarrassed by a gap. A gap tells you exactly what to train. Maybe you repeatedly needed the phrase. The reason is, good, practice it. Maybe you struggled to talk about the past. Good. Tell one short story every day. Maybe descriptions were difficult. Good. Describe one object every morning. Speaking exposes the weak connection, and repeated speaking strengthens it. Now we reach the last 10 questions. These are the final test. There will be no model answer after each one. I want you to rely on yourself, answer immediately, expand naturally, recover when you get stuck. Keep English moving. Chapter 10, the final automatic English challenge. We have reached question 91. For these final 10, follow 4 rules. First, begin within 3 seconds. Second, speak for at least 30 seconds. Third, do not restart your entire answer because of one mistake. Fourth, if you cannot remember a word, explain around it. Ready? Question 91. What is one decision you made that had a bigger effect on your life than you expected? Begin. Explain the decision. What happened afterward? Why was the result bigger than you expected? Keep going. Question 92. If you could remove one unnecessary source of stress from your daily life, what would you remove and why? Speak now. Do not spend 15 seconds choosing. Choose one and develop it. Question 93. What is something you want to become more disciplined about? Explain what normally prevents you from being consistent and what you could change. Question 94. Suppose you could have a 1-hour conversation with any expert in the world. What kind of expert would you choose and what would you ask? Do not worry about naming a specific person. Focus on what you want to learn. Question 95. What is a skill that you think will become more important during the next 10 years? Explain why. How might work or daily life change? Would everyone need this skill or only certain people? Question 96. What is one part of your personality that has changed as you have become older? Were you quieter before, more impatient, more trusting, more worried, more adventurous, more serious? What caused the change? Question 97. If you had to teach someone one important lesson you have learned from life, what would you teach? Avoid giving me only the lesson. Explain how you came to understand it. Question 98. What is one goal you have been postponing, and what is the smallest action you could take toward it this week? Be specific. Do not say, I should work harder. Name the action. Question 99. What would you do differently if you stopped worrying about making mistakes in English? Would you speak more often, start conversations, record yourself, travel, ask questions, make videos, join meetings? Describe what would change. And now, question 100. Without preparing, tell me who you are, what you are working toward, what matters to you right now, and where you hope to be 1 year from today. Begin now. Do not translate. Do not restart. Keep speaking. Take your time. Use the English that comes. If you forget a word, go around it. If you make a grammar mistake, continue. If a sentence becomes messy, finish the idea and move forward. Speak until you feel that you have genuinely answered. That was question 100. But before we finish, I want you to understand what just happened. You did not memorize 100 answers. That would defeat the purpose. You trained 100 moments of retrieval. Every time a question arrived, your brain needed to find an idea and express that idea in English. That is very different from reading an English sentence and understanding it. Recognition says, I know what that means. Production asks, can I create language when nobody gives me the sentence? That is the bridge you are trying to cross. You may have discovered that some question types were easy. Perhaps daily routine questions felt natural, but opinion questions slowed you down. Or maybe you could express opinions easily, but storytelling was difficult. That information is valuable. Do not judge your English only by a vague feeling such as, my English is bad. That tells you nothing. Be precise. Maybe your real problem is, I need too much time to begin. Or, my first sentence is easy, but I cannot continue. Or, I understand the question, but I search for vocabulary. Or, I lose control when talking about the past. Or, I know what I want to say, but I try to make the sentence too perfect. Each problem has a different solution. If you need too much time to begin, practice 3-second answers. If your answers are too short, use the answer plus reason rule. If you forget vocabulary, practice describing unknown words. If storytelling is difficult, tell one short memory every day. If you freeze while explaining opinions, practice simple structures such as, I think, the main reason is, for example, however, so. If perfection slows you down, practice finishing imperfect sentences instead of restarting them. This is how speaking becomes more automatic, not through one magical trick, through repeated direct retrieval. English question, English idea, English response. Again, English question, English idea, English response. Your native language does not need to stand in the middle of every exchange. At first, removing translation can feel uncomfortable because translation has probably helped you for years. It helped you understand new words. It helped you study grammar. It helped you make sense of difficult sentences. Translation itself is not the enemy. The problem appears when you become dependent on it during every speaking moment. Imagine trying to have a fast conversation while your brain performs 2 jobs for every sentence. First, create the message in language 1. Second, rebuild the message in language 2. Of course, speaking feels slow. We want to create more direct pathways. You hear, what are you doing tomorrow? And instead of constructing the complete answer somewhere else first, the meaning itself begins producing English. Tomorrow I'm going to. That is the direction. It happens gradually. And it often starts with simple phrases becoming automatic before entire conversations do. Think about expressions you probably no longer translate consciously. Thank you. I don't know. Good morning. See you later. What do you mean? Because you have encountered them so often, meaning and English are tightly connected. We want more of your English to work that way. The solution is not only repetition of the same sentence. You need varied repetition. That is why these 100 questions covered many areas. The language appeared under changing conditions. You described, remembered, compared, predicted, refused, explained, imagined, defended, reacted. This forces the language network to become more flexible. Now let me show you how to turn this video into a daily speaking workout instead of using it only once. On your second practice day, do not try to answer all 100 questions. Choose 20, but improve the quality. If yesterday you answered, my favorite time of day is morning because it is quiet. Today, try, my favorite time of day is early morning because everything feels calm and I can concentrate better. I usually feel more energetic before I start dealing with messages and work. Same question, stronger retrieval. On another day, take 10 questions and answer each for 1 minute. Another day, answer 20 questions using only 3 seconds of preparation. Another day, record yourself answering the hardest questions. Then listen once. Do not listen only for mistakes. Listen for hesitation. Where did you stop? Where did you suddenly become slower? Which ideas forced you to translate? Which words did you repeatedly search for? Those moments reveal the edges of your automatic English. That is your training area. Suppose you repeatedly hesitate when discussing plans, then spend several days answering future questions. What are you doing tonight? What are your plans for Friday? What do you want to achieve this year? Where would you like to travel? What skill are you going to practice? You will begin noticing recurring language. I'm planning to, I'd like to, I'm hoping to, I might, I'm going to. I haven't decided yet, but. Once those patterns become easy, your mind has more space to focus on the actual content. That is what fluent speakers do constantly. They are not consciously assembling every sentence from individual grammar rules. Huge parts of language are retrieved as familiar patterns. You can develop the same ability. Let us do one final mini workout. I will give you 5 unfinished statements. Complete each one immediately. Number 1. Right now, I'm trying to finish it. Number 2. One thing I need to improve is finish it. Number 3. I feel most confident when continue. Number 4. Recently, I've realized that speak. Number 5. By this time next year, I hope finish it. Those were not questions, but your brain performed the same operation. Meaning to English, directly. And this is worth remembering. Automatic English does not mean extremely fast English. Speed is not the goal by itself. You can speak calmly and still speak automatically. Automatic means you are no longer manually translating every idea. A sentence can take time because the thought itself is complex. That is normal. Even native speakers pause when thinking. The pause we want to reduce is the unnecessary pause created by building every message twice. You will also notice that certain subjects become automatic before others. You may speak easily about work because you use work vocabulary every day. Then someone asks about politics, gardening, architecture, or childhood memories, and you slow down. That does not mean your automatic English disappeared. It means fluency is partly domain-specific. The more situations you practice, the wider your speaking comfort becomes. This is why asking yourself questions can be one of the simplest daily exercises available. You need no textbook, no speaking partner, no complicated software. Ask, what am I doing? What happened today? Why did I choose that? What do I think about this? What will I do tomorrow? What would I do if? Then answer aloud. Speaking aloud matters. Thinking an English answer silently is useful, but speaking adds another layer. Your mouth must produce the sounds. Your breathing must support the sentence. Your tongue must move from one word to another. You hear your own output. You notice where the rhythm breaks. English becomes physical, not only mental. And when you practice regularly, certain sentences begin appearing with less effort. You stop feeling that you are pulling English out of a locked box. It becomes available. There is another habit I want you to avoid. Do not evaluate every sentence while you are still saying it. Many learners try to be speaker and examiner at the same time. They begin, yesterday I went, then instantly think, no, went. Then they become embarrassed, then they restart. Yesterday I went, wait. Yesterday I had gone. And the conversation collapses. Correction is useful, but speaking practice and detailed correction do not always need to happen simultaneously. During a fluency workout, prioritize completing the message. Afterward, you can review. Think of an athlete. During a sprint, they do not stop every 10 meters to analyze their running technique. They finish the sprint. Then they examine what needs improvement. Do the same with speaking. Finish, review, adjust, repeat. And please do not turn this workout into another silent English lesson. That is the easiest trap. You listen to me ask the question. You think, yes, I could answer that. Then you wait for the next question. No. Knowing that you could speak is not the same as speaking. If you skipped several answers today, return to them. Use your voice, even if you are alone, especially if you are alone. Private practice gives you room to experiment without social pressure. You can make ugly sentences. You can pause. You can correct yourself. You can try again. Then when a real conversation happens, you are not asking your English to perform something completely unfamiliar. It has practiced the movement before. 100 questions may sound like a lot, but fluency is built through thousands of small acts like these, not one enormous heroic study session. Small retrieval, small response, another question, another answer, another day, another conversation. Gradually, what once required concentration becomes familiar. What feels slow becomes easier. What felt frightening became ordinary. And ordinary is exactly what you want. Speaking English should not always feel like an exam. You want somebody to ask you a question and your attention to go toward the person, the idea, the joke, the problem, the story, or the decision, not toward translating every sentence inside your head. That is when English starts becoming a communication tool rather than only a subject you study. You have reached question 100, so now ask yourself one final question. Did you actually speak or did you only listen? If you answered aloud, even imperfectly, you trained something that cannot be built by passive study alone. Come back to these questions and measure one thing. How quickly can you begin, continue, and recover without translating? Do not chase flawless sentences, chase direct connection between your thoughts and your English. Today you answered 100 questions. Tomorrow, answer them with less hesitation. Keep doing that, and English will slowly stop feeling like something you must construct and start becoming something you can simply use.